there. So their insurgencies are there, and it's very, very interesting. And the northeast you go, you can feel that there's some problem. Yes.
Do we have a local church there?
We have a church we had a church in Manipur, and we had church in Nagaland. What is the area? That one place. Dimapur, yes. We have a worker, Disney, working in Dimapur. And you may have met one man called from Manipur. What is his name? Sugumar. Yeah. There are few people. The work is not flourishing. No, not at all. Dimapur you can do work among Muslims. The West from Bangladesh, lot of Muslims have migrated to Assam, from Assam to Dimapur, and those Muslims are open. You don't have to be afraid of going their home and talking. There are a lot of Muslims received Jesus Christ there because they are misplaced, and Nagaland is a Christian land. Therefore Muslims cannot do anything to Christians. Even if in heart they don't like it, they cannot argue against a Christian, because it's Nagaland. It's a Christian country. So, that's where we do a lot of work among the Muslims. And Muslims are getting converted there. That's very interesting. As long as you don't convert a Naga, Naga has to be a Baptist. Has to be. You can do a Baptist work, but then you have to get a license from them. You have to have a license to baptize, to break bread, to marry, and to bury. And you can get the license only if you are a member of the Baptist church. But in Dimapur, you don't need any license from anybody, as long as you don't have Nagas. You have Muslims or anybody who come from outside, you can have them. You can have your own church building, cemetery and everything. You don't need a permission. But if any single Naga is there, then problem is there. You have to have permission. So, very, very difficult things. Okay, we will talk a little bit about the Christian denominations in India in general. We were talking about the Northeast. Christians in India, you remember the major division that happened between the East and the West? We have covered all that, yeah. India stood with the East, not with the West. The whole West went Roman Catholic, with Rome as headquarters. But the East, with the, not under one patriarch, there were a number of patriarchs. Patriarch of Babylon, Patriarch of Antioch, Patriarch of the Coptic Patriarch in Egypt, the Russian Patriarch. There are many, many patriarchs. The Indian stayed basically with the Antiochian Patriarch. So the church in India was part of the Patriarchate of Antioch, the Orthodox Church. That's where the Indians lived. It was nothing to do with Roman Catholics until the Roman Catholic missionaries came here and converted them to Roman Catholicism. So traditionally, we Indians don't have Roman Catholic roots. We have Jacobite or Orthodox roots. That's what it is, But then Roman Catholics came later, and a lot of people began to be converted. The big divide of Christians in the world, have brought India under the Orthodox view, belong to the Eastern Roman Empire. Since Christianity in the early centuries in India was primarily in Kerala and also in some parts of Punjab, these two places basically confined, both places ascribe its origin to Apostle Thomas. One view is Thomas came to Kerala to work among the Jewish migrations there. The other is Thomas came to an area in India, the Indus Valley area. Kerala was not known, nor Tamil Nadu was known, Karnataka, they were not known as India. The word India applied to these places much recently. Otherwise, India meant the areas around the Indus River, the Indus Valley. There, a strong group of Christians were there in the first, second century at least. There were evidences for that one. So it may have been started by Apostle Thomas, that's one possibility, and people think that Thomas came down all the way, visiting different places and came to Mylapore, in Tamil Nadu. That's where he was assassinated and his tomb was there. Something that, he came down to Kerala and then on his way back, he was assassinated. We don't know, This is all no written history concerning these things, and therefore just traditions. Whatever you wanted to believe, you have the freedom to believe, when it comes to traditions. When Roman Catholicism began to convert Orthodox Christians to Catholic faith, the Orthodox people reacted very strongly. They didn't like it. Actually, the Roman Catholics were converting Orthodox people to Catholicism not by preaching but by force. Everywhere the Roman Catholics went, they have no message to preach. They basically convert people either by force or coercion or by undue influence. Giving things. They don't have a message to preach. What message they will preach? So they had the Udayamperur Synod. Some of you know that the Meneses, who was the bishop, the archbishop, came from Portugal. The Portuguese were ruling at that time, and he called all the bishops of the Orthodox Church, the priest of the Orthodox Church, and they met in Udayamperur in Kerala, and that was in 1599, and a lot of the Roman Catholic, the Orthodox priests were forced to sign declarations saying that they owe their allegiance to Pope. They were forced to. And against this Udayamperur, synod and the decision, the next half a century, Kerala Christians suffered terribly under the hands of the Portuguese. The Portuguese yoke was very heavy on them. In 1653, that is almost 1599 to 1653, so almost half a century, on 3rd January 3rd, a Friday, many Christians decided they do not want to submit to the Pope and to the Portuguese. They came together in Mattancherry and tied a rope on the Coonan cross, and holding on the rope they have taken an oath not to submit to Pope or to the Portuguese, but shall remain faithful to the Antiochian tradition of the Orthodox faith. So the Coonan Kurisha Satyagraham, it's called, it's very, very famous. Historians interpret differently that one, whether it was the Coonan Kurisha, oath was against the Roman Catholic Church or against the Portuguese. This is, At least Father Kudapura, who is a Roman Catholic historian, he says it was not against Pope, it was only against the excesses committed by Meneses and the Portuguese. But actually it was against both. It was against both because, only for Pope they were doing this. Who else they were doing it? It was a revolt against both. After the Coonan cross oath, the Malankara Orthodox Church maintained closer relationship with the Antiochian Patriarchate. Until then they had a loose, it's that loose relationship that has forced many. In 1685 and 1751, bishops from Antioch came to Kerala. In 1876, there was a synod at Mulanturuthi which accepted the leadership of the Antiochian patriarch. By that time, the Portuguese were to go. They lost their hold in India. The Dutch came, then the English came. So the Portuguese, they remained just in Goa and just in few places. Most of the other places they had to go. But by that time, among the coastal areas, the Roman Catholics have established their dominion. Oh yes. Francis Xavier, he has converted all the fishermen community. A large amount was converted. And, he was so successful. I like to know how he was so successful. Of course, it was not preaching the gospel. But the Protestant missionaries never adopted that method. Yes. Even from when the father of our constitution, Ambedkar, Dr. Ambedkar, went into Protestant missionaries in India and said that they all wanted to convert to Christianity. The only thing they requested was that they give them education and give them livelihood, means teach them some trade. But the Christian missionaries said, Protestant missionaries said, sorry, we don't have a provision to do that. We have to preach the gospel, you have to accept Jesus Christ and become a Christian. So they all went into Buddhism en masse. They became the Buddhist. I feel sorry really. I believe very strongly that only by preaching the gospel, accepting in Jesus Christ, a person can become truly a Christian. But we have Christendom today. All the people that are named in the Christendom, they have not accepted Jesus Christ, right? So what would have happened if they all became part of the Christendom? We could have had a larger constituency to preach the gospel. We could have taught their children the Bible. And we could have won many. But anyway, Christian missionaries, they were truly theologically right. I don't want it to say, but they lost an opportunity, definitely.
Could have become another Meghalaya.
Well, isn't that better to have a Meghalaya than some other Alaya? Definitely, as a Christian, I will say that. Definitely. So in 1876, the synod at Mulanturuthi, Mulanturuthi is a place in Kerala, very near Ernakulam. They accepted the leadership of the Antiochian patriarch. However, that relationship did not last long for many things. In 1911, the patriarch of Antioch excommunicated the bishop of Malangara, Divanius VI. And this led the Malangara Orthodox believers to start their own patriarchate in Kerala. So they ordained a patriarch in Niranam. On 1912, September 15, they invited a patriarch from the east, Abdul Messiah patriarch, who ordained Paulus Mar Ivanius, the first, as the Catholicos of the east. This action divided Kerala Orthodox believers into two factions, the Metran Kakshi and the Bhava Kakshi. Of course, you can see them even in the streets, sometimes fighting each other with lathis and all that. And, they have cases in high courts and Supreme Court. It's so sad that the Christian image is completely lost. The Hindu judges have to preside to decide what Christians should do, who should be worshipping in their, church building. Isn't that shame? That's shame. I think when good things get bad, they stink, much more than, ordinary things. In 1975, those who supported the Antioch Patriarch formed the Malangara Syrian Orthodox, the Jacobite Church, confirming their relationship with Antioch. Today, so the Metran Kakshi and the Bhava Kakshi. So, the what they call the Jacobites. They belong to the Antiochian tradition. For all major decisions, they invite the patriarch from Antioch, while the other Metrangachi, or the Orthodox people, they have their own Baba at Kottayam. On July 26, 2002, at Damascus, the Antiochian Patriarch Ignatius Saka, the first ordained Thomas Mar Dionysius at Basilius Thomas Baba of the East. Thomas Mar Dionysius, he is known as the Basilius Thomas Pradavan Baba, the Sreshta Katholika. So Apostle Thomas is having a chair now in Kottayam. He must be happy, I guess, because he didn't have a chair to sit. Even though he may be standing there, his successor is sitting there. Well, what these people understand about Christianity? Sometimes I think that, don't they read the Bible? Apostle Paul traveled all over the Roman Empire. Where did he have a chair? What about Peter? What about all the other apostles? And this is ridiculous, I say that. Of course, people get so heated and so, when you discuss with some of these Orthodox people or Jacobite people about some of these church matters, and they get so spirited, Yes, you speak a word against them, Yes, you have a problem. The fight between the Baba Kachi and the Metran Kachi continues with court cases and street fights. That's so sad. The Anglican Church. You know the story of the Anglican Church. We have dealt in detail about Henry VIII and how he wanted to marry a woman, and so he, pulled out himself from the Roman Catholic Church and all that. But it was somewhat a providence of God, because he did that. The Great Britain is Protestant, and when the British colonialism spread to all over the world, the Protestant missionaries went everywhere, and there was the freedom to preach the gospel. Wherever the Portuguese went, all the Roman Catholics could go. Wherever the British went. Of course, in India, the East India Company never allowed actually missionaries to come there, because the leaders of the East India Company said that if Hindus are converted, that will hurt our business interests. Hurt our business interests. The British people were more interested in making little money than in reaching, a soul. But anyway, as a result of the Anglican Church, in 1799, the Church Missionary Society, CMS, was formed in England, and the work of the CMS spread to different parts of the world. Church of England, Church of New Zealand, Church of Ireland, Church of Burma, Episcopal Church in USA, Episcopal Church in Scotland, Church in Wales, Church of Ceylon, Church of West Indies, Church of the Province of West Africa, the Australian Church, the Canadian Church, then eventually the CNI and the CSI of India are all the results of the CMS ministry. They have done quite a bit work, Yes, the early CMS missionaries were good people. They preached the gospel. We may disagree with them on our ecclesiology, but they preached the gospel for sure. The message that one need to believe in Jesus Christ to be saved. And so we are thankful for what they have done. In 1600, December 31st, Queen Elizabeth gave permission to the East India Company to begin trade in India. Chaplains were sent to serve the British employees. The East India Company never encouraged mission work. However, some of the chaplains gave much attention to mission work also. Among them are K.H. Kerr of Madras, Dr. Claudius Buchanan of Kerala. Buchanan understood the need of the Bible. Only Syrian version was available in Kerala at that time. So Buchanan, with the help of Bishop Mar Diocenius Metropolitan, translated the 4 Gospels and printed it at a courier press in Bombay, 1811. Colonel Munro who was a resident in Kerala, informed the CMS to send missionaries to help the church in Kerala. In 1814, they appointed T.F. Middleton as bishop in Calcutta and sent in 1816 Mr. Norton and family to Kerala. They came to Kottayam. In 1817, Benjamin Bailey, heard of Benjamin Bailey? Have heard of him? No? Being a Christian, you never heard Benjamin Bailey? Benjamin Bailey and Gundert were the two people who translated the Bible, Malayalam Bible. Benjamin Bailey's Bible and Gundert's Bible. Gundert was in the north and Bailey was in Kottayam. They both translated. Then the Bible Society has taken both and edited together, made one single. The Bible Society Bible, the Malayalam Bible we use today, is the Bailey plus Gundert Bible. They have taken it. So in 1817, Benjamin Bailey and wife came to Kottayam. The same year, another missionary, Joseph Fenn from London, also came to Kottayam. Henry Baker Sr. and Henry Baker Jr. also came to Kottayam. Under the leadership of Colonel Monroe, they started a seminary at Kottayam in order to reform the Orthodox Church, But resistance came from the Orthodox people, because these missionaries taught that prior to Mary, all idols must be taken away, and no mediator other than Jesus Christ, no chatham, the ceremony for the dead, and all the no prayer for the dead people. So these missionaries, they said, this is all unbiblical, anti-biblical, you have to stop. Will the Orthodox people stop there? That's their pet doctrines, As they say, if there is no mother, there is no son. And, so the resistance came from the Indian leaders as the missionaries wanted to change many of those practices. So actually, the reformation of the Orthodox Church never taken place because of resistance. Many in the Orthodox Church got saved and they left it. They are the ones who came to the Marthoma Church later, Bailey began translation of the Bible and he printed in 1827. He established the CMS Press at Kottayam. In 1829, Bailey translated and printed the New Testament, 1842, the whole Bible. He also made a Malayalam dictionary and a grammar book. Reverend George Mathan, Reverend Umman Mamman, Reverend Koshi, etc. cooperated with the missionary to end the slavery in India. Slavery in India was terrible. The women could not cover their breast. It was open. Only upper class women, the Brahmins could, wear blouses. So otherwise they couldn't. The Christian missionaries required the Christian women to do it. So the king in Kerala opposed. But the Idavas and others, they were not allowed. There was a tax if you have to wear a blouse. So the Christian women did. Then one Idava woman, chopped off her breast and gave it to the king instead of the tax money. I don't have money, you take it. And then the king stopped it, gave permission to wear. This is because of actually the work of the Christian missionaries. The Christian women were all covering. The upper class Hindus were covering, but all the others were, only that. So that was, and the slavery was very, very terrible. So these missionaries and these, kashishas, they were called kashisha, the priests, they were all worked together. And in 1812, Monroe, he was a resident. Kerala was not ruled by the Britishers. Kashmir and Kerala, two states in India, were not ruled by Britishers. They gave them tribute to the Britishers. So there was a resident, a representative of the British government there. And Colonel Monroe was the resident or the representative. And, he also worked for ending the slavery. And then in Kerala, slavery was, legally ended. Missionaries also emphasize education of backward communities, You can take some books written by some of the Kerala, socialist leaders, they will say that how the Edavas and the other backward communities, they could not go to school. They could not go to school. It was against, the interest of the upper class. And even when the Christians allowed them to go to school, the others opposed to it. But the Christian missionaries anyway, they made them. The thing they could not suffer is that when a Brahmin student is sitting and Pulayas, is sitting with him right on the same bench. So the Christian missionaries said that we don't discriminate between Brahmins or this, other Shudras or anything. Human being, everybody has only one soul and everybody is equal before God. So, that started. And they also started education for women, Oh, sending women to school? That was never heard. So, actually missionaries have brought English education at a very early time, and because our people in Kerala got this English education, Kerala is much ahead of other people, they have gone even Western countries, most of the NRIs, our income comes from Kerala, is from the NRIs, they are all gone and Kerala advanced, and that's true part of Tamil Nadu also, missionaries came there. But the other places where missionary work was resisted, like Bihar for example, it is called the cemetery of Christianity, missions. See how backward even today Bihar is, very backward. And in today's paper that because of malnutrition and starvation, people were dying in Maharashtra. The one English paper I have read that, How many people died this 1 year of starvation in Maharashtra? Can you think of that? People dying? In India of starvation? There is no need. That means that there are a lot of people who don't have land, who don't have work, who don't have education, who have nothing. The government is trying to save, well, human beings have no value, animals have values. And it's sad really, human beings have no value here in this country. You cannot hit a dog on the street. They give so much value to the dogs. That's terrible. Yes. So we'll stop, take a break there, Yes.